Good evening, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. Late night here, Tuesday, just going home. It's been a heck of a day. No surprise. We are now 105 team members here at Cake DeFi. Office is buzzing every once in a while. Like a lot of people now coming back. It's great feeling. I don't know how this is where you are working, but it feels good to have a bit of a mix. This on and kind of on in office, out of office, remote kind of environment. So going really nice. The topic though I want to cover are actually three things, and obviously they are very on topic. What's happening right now in Ukraine, Russia, US. So let's kind of dive in. Obviously, first and foremost, we have seen a crypto dip after Putin announced that Russia is invading Ukraine. And then everyone was kind of yelling, oh my goodness, you see, Bitcoin is not a good hedge. Gold is the hedge. Peter Schiff was very vocal about this. Everything that was risk on sold off. So any kind of stocks, Bitcoin and so on, anything that was risk off. So the dollar, obviously gold, bonds, anything of that kind of did well. Russian equities, the Russian ruble sold off dramatically. So yeah, quite a crazy turn of event. And then this entire thing turned around. We suddenly saw a pump in crypto. Prices completely recovered, gold sold off, Bitcoin kind of recovered, and then over the past 24 hours, my goodness, what an event. Bitcoin is pretty much back to where it was prior this entire kind of Russian-Ukraine conflict. And yeah, that's kind of the state of the matter at the moment. And so people are wondering, what's going on? Where's all this coming from? And so in this video, I want to give you a couple of my thoughts here on what's happening and how could this kind of go forward. So first and foremost, I do think a part of the sell-off obviously had to do with the Russia invasion into Ukraine, but then the recovery simply had to do that people were kind of looking at the facts again and were like, okay, I get it. It's really terrible for a lot of people, but from an investment standpoint, not much has changed. Plus, there are actually odds now that the Fed is not raising rates in mid-March as much as they could do. So suddenly there was this recovery, and we saw this in stocks. Stocks had one of their best days on Friday last week. So this is where a lot of this recovery is coming from. And so, I mean, this does make sense fundamentally, right? But then let's take this to the next level. We saw the sanctions that the West is putting on Russia. Doesn't matter if it's kind of taking banks off the SWIFT network, if it is like individual sanctions towards a lot of the oligarchs. And well, what do we see? We see oligarchs all around the world starting to move their assets. We see yachts being driven around, private jets flown. We saw this crazy story in the Balears, I think, where one person, maybe even a person from Ukraine, is damaging this yacht from this oligarch. And I mean, we can only speculate how much physical assets these oligarchs are trying to kind of get out of any kind of the regions where their assets could be seized. But so now we see this, well, increase of around 140 addresses of 1,000 Bitcoins or more. And so obviously the speculation now comes, are these Russian oligarchs, is Russia itself the ones that are behind this pump? And so I want to give you a bit of my thoughts on this one as well. I would be obviously cautious in kind of going this direction right away, but the data, again, is also not conclusive, because if you just look at Russia, ruble, Bitcoin, that kind of trading volume is, I mean, it's a 9-month high, don't get me wrong. But as a whole, I think we're talking about 40 to 50 million US dollars. That doesn't account for the like tens of thousands of Bitcoins that got traded there. So I'm not really sure if it's really, if that pump is really coming from Russia itself. But it could still come from Russians What do I mean with that? Well, if you're one of these oligarchs in the US, in Europe, and you want to get out of the country with your assets, obviously you can get your physical stuff out if you manage to, but then what about all your digital assets? And like, there's a lot of stuff that's digital, right? Like most stock certificates, any kind of like credit notes, anything there, like your money probably is digital. So what's going to happen here is they're going to do whatever to trade this into Bitcoin. They're going to look for any kind of OTC deal. They're going to pay serious money. And look, if they manage to do that, I don't know what kind of weird counterparty accepted their transactions, but I'm sure, I mean, you look at some of these really shady transactions in the world, right? That has nothing to do with crypto. And I'm not saying this is what went down, but you look into the entire financial industry, you look at some of the banks, a lot of them for insane cuts. And we know this, right? You're gonna have counterparties who are gonna be willing to take certain kind of money. Again, I'm not saying this happened, but I'm not saying it didn't happen, where there's OTC deals done all around the world. And I mean, it could easily be that some of these Russians are willing to pay $60,000, $70,000 for a Bitcoin right now, because the other end of the stick is I get nothing for it, right? So, and that could easily drive the price up by 10, 12%. And I mean, looking at all the exchange data and the volumes, it does look like it was a relatively small group. So it's not like some wide buying now where there's a sentiment change in the market. So obviously, this is kind of a very interesting point. So anyone that kind of goes and says, look, this shows how powerful crypto is, sure, I get it. So it does drive the narrative here about Bitcoin being the censorship-resistant digital asset. And we saw the Bitcoin price doing really, really well. If I look at my portfolio, I don't own much Bitcoin. Most of my crypto is actually in DeFi chain. And then I have some ETH. I have very little Bitcoin at the moment. Obviously right now, not over the past 2 or 3 months, but right now, Bitcoin over the last 24 hours outperformed most other crypto assets. Now, if I look at, for example, DeFi chain, which is my largest position, I mean, just year to date, DeFi chain is up massively against Bitcoin, massively up against Ethereum. So I'm not complaining here, but it's a clear sign on where this pump is coming from. And so here, actually, this use case of Bitcoin seems to be extremely strong. So we seem to have a strong use case for something that's digital, something that's censorship resistant, and something that seems to be a storeholder of wealth. And so anyone that's kind of denying this here, I don't know, needs to kind of look at the certain circumstances. And I could definitely see that there are Russians that are putting their funds in there. So I do see where this narrative is coming from. But there is a flip side to it, right? I mean, obviously the flip side can be that this is just a wrong narrative. Maybe the flip side is that the narrative is not that this is the Russians. This can just be that, I don't know, companies come in, corporates come in, maybe, general investors are coming in, right? They're using those low prices. They don't know where else to put their money. Maybe they have sold some of the Russian assets because they kind of forced to selling them. And now they're like, you know what? I have this extra liquidity. Let me rebalance that. So, I mean, this is easily possible. This is just some very regular kind of investor. But if this is Russian money, and we saw this from Senator Elizabeth Warren in the US already, who's really calling out the exchanges and the crypto industry and it's calling for sanctions, saying that crypto is being used to bypass any kind of these sanctions. And so this is just something I would watch out for going forward from here. Obviously, any kind of buying, I mean, the price is determined by supply and demand. If the demand goes up, prices tend to go up. And obviously with that, the question then becomes, what are prices doing going forward? I think we have the Fed meeting. That's still a bit of a big question mark. And so let's see how that goes. At the same time, we do have this buying, obviously, by a certain group of people. They have seemed to stop right now, but maybe this keeps going. And then we do have the possibility of additional pressures. Obviously, we have economics uncertainties with these geopolitical events. But I would just be very wary of what's happening now in the entire kind of ecosystem when, I don't know, maybe larger politicians that have already been negative towards crypto and now they're kind of getting a stronger voice. So this is just something that I would watch out for as an investor. Obviously, it's I think that we can manage this as a community. I think a lot of the companies, we have enough firepower when it comes to like discussing this with politicians, and we do have enough legal backing. But it's just something to be wary and to watch out for. And don't forget, I mean, we have seen this over the past 2 years. Sometimes it can be very easy in pushing a certain narrative in a community, be it positive or be it negative. And people sometimes don't think all too much, right? They just kind of follow, or they kind of repeat what they hear. And so this can be quite dangerous, as we have seen over the past 2 years. And so there, it's very easy to have like an 80% of the population who don't own crypto, who then just repeat what others are saying without thinking much, and kind of building this narrative that maybe crypto is dangerous and crypto is doing harm. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Of course, I'll keep you informed here on the channel. If there's anything else, I'll shoot you an update here. And let me know what you think about this. Do you think it is the Russians? Do you think it's not? Where do you think prices go from here? But these are my kind of thoughts on this. Obviously, really, my heart and thoughts and love goes out to everyone out there that needs it right now. It's gotten a very, very crazy place over the past week. So, yeah, with that, hey, stay safe, stay healthy, good decision making, good fortune, and talk later. Thanks so much. Yours truly, Julian. Bye-bye. Thank you.